So the courts have become little more than just partisan political bodies. No more are they objective arbiters of the law. So what's going on in an important race in Wisconsin should have the attention of all Democrats. Let's talk about it in today's video. Hi, I'm Mike Greiner. I'm a lifelong Democratic activist who's concerned about the direction our country is taking. I'm also a lawyer and an academic, and I'm here to help you stand up to the BS of the MAGA crowd. So I've done a number of videos where I've talked about the extreme right-wing tilt of the U.S. Supreme Court. Most shockingly of late has been the efforts of Clarence Thomas to basically make it illegal for states to stop convicted spousal abusers from having firearms. The data on that point are clear. Having a firearm in the house increases the risk of a woman being killed by up to 1,000%, according to some studies. In other words, when there's a gun in the household, the woman is 6 to 10 times more likely to be killed by it. Who are the most likely to be doing the killing? Well, of course, it's convicted spousal abusers. But that matters not to Clarence Thomas and his fellow conservative judges. Their position is that the Second Amendment is absolute, and being convicted of really just about any crime, at least any crime that was recognized during the 18th century when, frankly, spousal abuse wasn't really a recognized crime, isn't a basis to deny that right to any American citizen. Well, things have certainly changed since the 18th century. We have now rapid-fire automatic weapons, and women can vote. But Clarence Thomas is stuck in the 18th century and is convinced that because of the fact that back then they didn't protect women, we shouldn't protect them either now. And he's brought along with him a whole cadre of conservative judges who are pushing this agenda across the country, striking down state and federal laws left and right that make it unlawful for convicted spousal abusers to have firearms. And here's Clarence Thomas, the man who is supposedly opposed to judicial activism. But judicial activism has become par for the course with the court. Of course, we're all familiar with the recent abortion decision, and I've done a number of videos on their decision striking down essentially any part of the Voting Rights Act and any effort by employees to protect themselves. But it turns out that the Supreme Court is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to conservative judicial activism. We have a story coming to us from North Carolina, where before the 2022 election, Democrats held a 4-3 majority. Well, in that election, the Republicans were able to defeat 2 of the Democrats, turning it into a 5-2 Republican majority. Now, you have to remember, this is the court that ruled that the incredibly partisan gerrymandering that the North Carolina legislature went through when it developed its congressional districts and legislative districts was unconstitutional. Because of the shortage of time that was available, though, they allowed the election to be run under these new districts and ordered the Republican legislature to develop new maps based upon their order. Well, sensing that they had an opening, the Republicans in the legislature asked for a rehearing on this already decided case. Surprise, surprise, the Republicans suddenly decided that this unconstitutional gerrymander was perfectly acceptable. The fact that the Republican legislature drew for this really swing state with a Democratic governor, a congressional map in which Republicans would win 10 of 14 districts, doesn't appear to be an unconstitutional gerrymander after all. But the only change really was the partisan makeup of the court. I mean, courts are supposed to respect precedent so that you're able to count on decisions that have been made and have some sense as to what the law means. But as it turns out, nowadays, the law means nothing. All it means is who has power. Well, that situation might be blowing up in the face of Wisconsin Republicans pretty soon, where they've had control of the Supreme Court for 14 years now. That Supreme Court narrowly acknowledged the fact that Joe Biden had won the presidential election there, but aside from that has supported the Republicans in their gerrymandering, in shutting down ballot boxes and making it harder for people to vote, and in limiting the powers of the Democratic governor. Now, though, one of the hard right-wing Republicans is retiring, and there's an open race that's going to be decided in April. There is a chance, given the fact that abortion is truly on the ballot in this race, and that the 2 Republicans who are running are about as right-wing as you can get. After all, one of the Republicans stated that the worst decision that was ever made by the Supreme Court was Lawrence v. Texas. That's the Supreme Court decision that allowed people to have sex with whoever they wanted to in the privacy of their own homes. So we know what kind of people these conservatives are. Well, if you want to see another video where I describe how this Republican Supreme Court has decimated unions in what at one point was a strong pro-union state, check out this video over here. I'll see you then. In the meantime, let's hope for continued progress. Thank you.